Welcome, everyone, to ARMBAR, the Valley's only home for pro wrestling and MMA talk. God, it's been so long since I've seen you guys.
How's it going?
It's been great, man. We're on the road to NXT TakeOver this Saturday night, the Royal Rumble this Sunday night. And, Tony, where will those events be at this coming weekend?
It will be at the Alamo Dome. There in San Antonio, Texas.
Exactly.
Not here, there.
Yeah, not in McAllen, but San Antonio.
Remember the Rumble.
And WWE Live in Hidalgo, which, Mike, where will that place be at?
It'll be in Hidalgo, Texas, at
the
State Farm Arena.
I just spoiled it. I know, my bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But, yes, San Antonio and Hidalgo, we're going to be rocking. We got NXT TakeOver. Oh, sorry about that. Looks like my new iPhone 7 just went off. That was not a cheap plug. That was just the brand of phone I do have. But, yeah, as far as NXT TakeOver Saturday night, we got a huge, perhaps what many say the big money match with Shinsuke Nakamura and Bobby Roode for the NXT Championship. The Royal Rumble, which the Royal Rumble match is already the main event. But to me, the big match that I'm looking forward to, AJ Styles and John Cena for the WWE Championship, which Tony and I will get to see live in person at one of the biggest venues in all of wrestling, the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. And then for what? We're going to be amongst, 60, 70,000?
Yeah, 60 to
50
70.
plus for sure.
plus.
Yeah. I don't know if the show's sold out yet, but I definitely know that you guys will be in attendance with a lot of people. Okay, again,
It's going to be people that all over the United States. It's going to be possibly
Even all over the world.
big names are going to be there.
oh yeah,
Possibly, they haven't had the show like this in the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, I think, in about 20 years. I think when Shawn Michaels won the Royal Rumble.
Yep, 1997 when he defeated Psycho Sid.
was it 97 or no? Wasn't it Stone Cold that won the Rumble in 97?
No, Stone Cold won. Stone Cold Steve Austin won it in 97 at the Alamo Dome,
Yeah.
although it was under tainted circumstances.
Yes, I know that.
Yes.
But HBK didn't win his first WWE Championship, no, or was that somewhere else?
No, he won his first WWE title was WrestleMania 12.
Okay.
Second was in the Alamo Dome in
There
San
you go.
Antonio.
Okay.
The one-time home of the San Antonio Spurs, but now that's the AT&T Center.
Boo.
But that's okay. Hey, their loss, our gain.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I just can't wait to be there at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio for this Sunday's mega pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, which all the time it is the road to WrestleMania. And all the time it's still one of the biggest shows of the year. And one of the few times I'll agree with Michael Cole on something, and it is one of my personal favorite pay-per-views of the year. And you never know who's going to show up at the Royal Rumble. Who says all 30 superstars are all superstars that are under the WWE roster, as we've come to learn over the years. And also,
Excited. I'm excited to watch this, guys, on television on the WWE Network. To be honest, I'm just
for how much?
only $9.99.
Or, of course, for anybody that's
$9.99.
new, it's going to be free for any new subscribers.
Yes.
Yes, where you can get the Royal Rumble. You can get NXT TakeOver Saturday night, even also in a couple of weeks, Mike's favorite pay-per-view, the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. I wouldn't say my favorite.
Now, will that be a
but-
SmackDown rostered pay-per-view?
That'll be a SmackDown themed
Yes.
pay-per-view, yes.
Okay.
So what's the next topic of conversation over here, Mr. J?
Well, talking about, speaking of this past weekend, this past Saturday night, Bellator 170.
For you
With
MMA fans out there, yeah.
That's what I always like to bring to the table is Bellator, including also the retirement of Tito Ortiz, who retired in the
That fight
cage.
was awesome.
All great 45-second worth of fighting, yes, with Tito Ortiz and the American Gangster, Chael Sonnen. The trash talk, what led to the fight, and the fact that it was going to be Tito's last time in the octagon was, man, it just feels like it was just yesterday. Tito Ortiz was headlining UFC pay-per-views with the legendary fellow UFC Hall of Famer, Ken Shamrock, which I'm sure that might have been a rivalry you might remember. And, of course,
I do remember.
one of the first MMA rivalries to be given the feud of the year by the Wrestling Observer, and it's not in pro wrestling. It was a mixed martial arts rivalry. The first being Sakuraba and Vanderlei Silva for the Pride promotion in Japan to Ortiz and Shamrock, both in 2002, and in 2006, where they were the hottest rivalry at that time in the UFC. And Tito Ortiz, of course, before John Jones, was the longest reigning light heavyweight champion in UFC history. defeating all comers, including Ken Shamrock, as well as the late Evan Tanner. Wars he had with Vitor Belfort, and of course his infamous battles with Chuck Liddell in 2004 and in 2006. To his retirement from the UFC in 2012 against Forrest Griffin, the same night he was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. And speaking of Hall of Fame, we'll be talking about another Hall of Fame later on in the broadcast.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
It's damn true. In which Ortiz had left the UFC following his Hall of Fame induction, showed up in Bellator, and after a good couple of fights, decided it was time to hang the gloves up against another man who calls himself the bad guy, Chael Sonnen, who's great at trash talking and has had some great victories. But unfortunately, when it comes down to it, Chael Sonnen's always going to be known as the guy that came this close but could not finish the deal. Like with Anderson Silva in 2010, with Tito Ortiz, he didn't even get started. Ortiz was able to, get Chael Sonnen to surrender his back, apply the rear naked choke, and it was over with. And it was a vengeance that was served by Ortiz, because 20 years earlier in an amateur wrestling match, I'm sure this was near and dear to your heart, Tony, in your years in amateur wrestling, to be pinned by your rival is one thing, but to have it done on your birthday, that weighed on Tito for a long time. And I'm sure Saturday night, that was finally a demon he was able to exercise.
Oh, man. You know what? I was amazed by, Tito Ortiz for being 41 years old, very active. I mean, he's retired, right, from the UFC?
He's retired from the UFC, but he eventually went back into he signed with Bellator MMA and did very well there, including also his battle with the American Psycho, Stephan Bonner, a couple of years back, where there was a little bit of element of pro wrestling there with that rivalry.
You know what I was amazed, though, is it's very hard to master an escape for a guillotine hold, and he had him pretty locked on there on that guillotine.
He did for quite some time.
Yeah, and then for him to actually escape from that and then hit him with a chokehold, and he tapped out. I thought, and he still has it. I really applauded Tito Ortiz, because I've been watching him since I was a kid. And, him with Frank Shamrock, his rivalry. I mean, this guy had multiple rivalries, and his technique is so, he has a technique that every fighter wants to have. That there are a lot of fighters that, idolize him for his,
watching this again, Mike.
Sorry, that just scared me for a little bit.
It
It really idolized, a bunch of fighters and influenced them, the way his tenacity was, his technique. I mean, it's very hard to get out of a guillotine hold.
Yes.
It's very hard. You can choke out easily. You can take your voice box out. You can snap your neck. I mean, that's a very hard hold to get out of. And whether you do, if you watch, whether you're in pro wrestling or not, how they, they can reverse it to a Northern Lights suplex, but in the UFC, it's very hard. I mean, you're trying really hard to escape that, and because once a wrestler or grappler has a hold on you like that, I mean, it's no going back. I mean, there's so many, holds they can get from a triangle choke to a guillotine. Those are the two hardest moves to get out of. So I applauded Tito Ortiz for that. Job well done. And then he retired with the big W. So my congrats to you, my friend. Moving on, right?
And thank you, Tito Ortiz, for what you did for the world of mixed martial arts. In many ways, one of the original big box office draws of MMA. Many, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was originally at one point called the Hulk Hogan of MMA because of the star power he brought to mixed martial arts. And, he made the world of MMA better than when he found it. And thank you, Tito Ortiz, for not only what he did for amateur wrestling, but also for mixed martial arts, whether his time in the Ultimate Fighting Championship or in Bellator MMA. Thank you, Tito Ortiz. And, who knows if we'll see another Tito Ortiz or another one similar to him. But, good way to go out, especially defeating the very obnoxious Chael Sonnen this past Saturday night at Bellator 170.
There you go.
So we see Mike adjusting the camera there. And then, of course...
Sorry, we are live.
Yep. And a lot can happen live. Ask Psycho Sid.
How you doing, ARMBAR Universe?
How's it going? No, I was just messing with the filters on the... I didn't know that we have filters.
As we're right here in McAllen, Texas.
Feel free to say something, guys. Talk about us. We're live. Say something.
We're unscripted.
We're live right now. Don't worry. Right now we're still waiting for some viewers to come in. So right now I'm not seeing a lot of things. I think Facebook is still spreading the word that we're live. That's why. But that's okay. Okay, so
we actually got a reaction from Iris Orta, who likes the ARMBAR video.
big shout outs to Iris Orta. We will be there Monday at the Hidalgo Arena, Iris. So thank you again for watching. You, your sisters, Julie and Elijah. And hopefully, maybe me and Jay from ARMBAR will be there. Tony's going to be, unfortunately, still recovering from the Royal Rumble.
He'll have his Royal Rumble hangover.
My voice will probably be out by then. So.
Oh, yeah.
I may have the battery on my voice might be at 20, 30%, going from a huge venue like the Alamo Dome to, well, maybe not the biggest venue, but still one of the more passionate venues.
I'm probably going to have to wake him up and
say. It might be sold out now that John Cena's going to be there. Now, it was just announced last week that Cena's going to be there.
It had been announced for quite some time, but it's always a packed house when John Cena's there.
And they're going to be in Corpus the next day, am I correct?
Yeah, they're going to be in Corpus for SmackDown Live, the A show of the WWE.
You know that show also. There could have been a trio of shows.
I know.
Think about it: NXT, Royal Rumble, Hidalgo Live,
Texas
and then
Tour.
SmackDown.
Technically, that's a quartet. Raw will be
in Laredo.
It's gonna be in Texas.
I know the Texas part. The city, I'm stumped.
Yeah, that's okay.
Let's call it the WWE Texas Tour Week. That's pretty much it, right? WWE Texas Tour.
Yes.
But think of what next year's Royal Rumble. They're going to be in Philadelphia for NXT TakeOver next year. The Royal Rumble, Raw, and SmackDown all in Philadelphia. Can you imagine if that had been us here in San Antonio, 4 straight nights in San Antonio? That would have been awesome, but can't get everything. But hey, we're going to be at the Alamo Dome, Tony. We're going to be at the State Farm Arena, Mike. Who knows? We might even be at the AT&T Center, Tony.
It's going to be awesome.
So who knows? But yeah, it's going to be a huge weekend. I mean, it's been 26 wrestling shows I've attended since 1992. A few independent events here, at least 16 WWE events, most of them, a bulk of them spent at the State Farm Arena in Hidalgo. A couple at Mike's backyard, the UTRGV campus back in 93, back in the days of the old World Wrestling Federation, as well as the Convention Center at South Padre, where I even got to see Motley Crue, my first concert for that band at that same arena years later. And even at one point, the Frank Irwin Center in Austin. But as great as it was being at WCW Monday Nitro at South Padre in 2000, and even going to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio 3.5 years earlier for Impact Wrestling's Lockdown pay-per-view, I think, to me, great events, but none that can compare to perhaps one of the biggest shows you'll ever see since 1988. One of the most established and one of the most iconic pay-per-views, pretty much the playoffs of World Wrestling Entertainment, where the road to WrestleMania begins, the Royal Rumble. And we get to be there. I mean, we could be sitting in the nosebleeds. We could be sitting ringside. I don't care. I just wanted to be there.
We're going to do a little show, by the way, guys.
Some videos here and there. We'll see.
Do some videos here and there at the Royal Rumble. And
maybe all over San Antonio.
Possibly all over San Antonio. Jay will bust out his Facebook Live. Me, we'll do whatever it takes. And give us a few shout-outs. We're representing McAllen, Texas, the Rio Grande Valley. So we're going to have fun. I can't wait to go to the Ripley's Museum, too. Probably go find that wax museum Undertaker,
I can't wait to see The Undertaker live in person.
Yeah, me too.
For me, the first time since 2008 when he wrestled the Big Show here at State Farm Arena. A fact that somebody has said, I don't remember that happening, but I'm not going to mention names. But at the same time, though, to see an iconic figure like The Undertaker, whether it's your first time or third time, it's still special.
But not just The Undertaker.
I was getting to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Such a star-studded event. It's ridiculous.
We got Goldberg.
And by the way, I'm going to be wearing a shirt.
Tony's going to be wearing a shirt, guys. Yeah, that Goldberg shirt.
I mean, when WCW came down here in 2000, Goldberg was not part of the card at the time because he was hurt. Mm-hmm. The first time WWE came to State Farm Arena, Goldberg was not part of the show because it was a SmackDown brand. Goldberg was part of Raw at the time. By the time Raw came down, Goldberg was already gone. So this is finally where we got it. Mm-hmm. We get to see the man. No offense to Seth Rollins, but Goldberg was the man before Seth Rollins.
And who actually quoted that?
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yes, sir.
Famous Bobby the Brain Heenan. One of the probably top-rated commentator of all time, maybe next to Jim Ross. as far as wrestling goes.
I also,
And managers too.
Yeah, managers as well. So
I don't know if this has transpired, but this is it has transpired about a week ago, and I want to do a moment of silence. We lost a legendary wrestling pioneer. He passed away, I think, about a couple weeks ago. His name is Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Despite of his past life, what he's done, but you know what? This guy has paid the way. The infamous 1983 match, right?
Yeah.
It was him versus Don Morocco, and he was out with a steel cage. And he's the guy that revolutionized aerial moves, the Superfly Splash. I have an action figurine, by the way, of Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He was actually doing a backbreaker on Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho, I think, faced him at WrestleMania
25 when it was Jericho against Snuka,
So this
Piper, and Ricky Steamboat.
This is a figurine I have of Jimmy Price. This is a Jack specific figurine. So I want to do a tribute to Jimmy Snuka. He was only 73 years old. He had a long battle with stomach cancer. He had dementia. But the guy had heart and he had charisma in the ring. He was also a former NWA tag champion, ECW, one of the first ECW champions, early ECW champions when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling. Yeah. He was also he was also an NWA US heavyweight champion. I think he defeated the King Kong Bundy. It was an old match. Yeah. So I want to, this is a figurine that we're going to be honoring. I'm going to put him right here so everybody can know that we paid tribute. If you want, we could put it right here, or where do you want to place it, Mike?
I can't really see it down there on camera, but I mean, if you want, I'll hold it up.
I mean,
for the Facebook Live people. Okay?
Think of the names that were in attendance before they were even names. For when Jimmy Snuka dove off the cage at Madison Square Garden, Mick Foley, Bubba Ray Dudley, Tommy Dreamer, guys that were not in the business yet, but we're all there, and getting to see Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Before there was Jeff Hardy doing the Swanton bomb off of stages, off of construction sites, even off of production trucks. You had Jimmy Snuka doing the Superfly splash off the top of a steel cage, and
that was legendary back then.
Exactly. Rest in peace, Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for making the world of wrestling better.
I guess I'll just put it right here. He deserved to be champion a couple of times for WWE. I don't see why they didn't.
He was at one point almost as popular, if not more, than perhaps even Hulk Hogan at one point.
Oh, yeah. But I want to thank him for his legacy and him passing down. Whoa.
Oh,
Chris Jericho fell. Sorry.
Jericho's made the list.
I think Jericho's going to put me on the list.
He most likely will.
Put you on the list, Tony.
Oh, my gosh.
So big shout out to, Snuka and, of course, Tamina Snuka. Our hearts go out to the family. It's been a stressful week for everyone there.
Yes.
WWE did give a big shout out to Snuka and the family, of course. Even though not talking about any sort of circumstances, but let's go ahead and give them that moment of silence, okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys.
And also for those that may have never been able to see Jimmy Snuka in his prime, or those that may have never even had the chance to see a lot of his work, check out his collections section on WWE Network. You'll see why he was the original phenom, was Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You can relive his career and all of his great matches. And plus, one of my favorite rivalries, him and the late, great Roddy Piper.
Yes, with the coconut.
Yeah.
What was great about Jimmy Snuka is he passed the torch to The Undertaker at his first WrestleMania. Because that, I hate to say it, but that was his, Undertaker was the man to defeat Snuka at his first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And he gave it to
WrestleMania 7.
WrestleMania 7. So, I mean, that takes a lot. That's a very bold, noble thing that Snuka did for The Undertaker.
And he did it for the business in many ways to Jimmy Snuka, that night was the birth of a new phenom, and, The Undertaker just took off from there. And we'll definitely be talking about The Undertaker more throughout the broadcast, including heading into Monday Night Raw this past Monday, the final stop before the Royal Rumble on the Raw side, where we had the tag team championship match that's been announced for the Royal Rumble, the kickoff pregame show. I'm not too keen on calling it a kickoff show. It's like, this is wrestling, not a football game. I like to call it the pregame show. Back to the days of WCW when they would do episodes of Main Event prior to their pay-per-views, they used to call it the pregame show. So that's what I've been used to anyway. But Sheamus and Cesaro against Anderson and Gallows with 2 referees. I mean, personally, I like this match. I like the rivalry because it's very hard-hitting. It's believable with those 2 teams going at it for the Raw tag team titles. It'll be the first tag team title Raw pay-per-view match or pregame match that does not involve the New Day, which is definitely, that's going to be new, no pun intended. But y'all's thoughts on this match coming up with Sheamus and Cesaro taking on Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows?
Actually, I'm rooting for the club. They need to be. They need to be pushed for crying out loud. They keep embracing the fact that they're IWGP champions. So I am really rooting for them. I want the championships to change hands already. These 2 are wonderful talents, and Sheamus and Cesaro. I mean, I'm glad they're coexisting together as a tag team, but enough is enough. Let's get real here. We need new champions.
Well, and to begin with, it does kind of look bad on Anderson and Gallows when they're constantly saying, hey, we were the tag team champs in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's like, that's great and all, but you're in WWE now. You're not in New Japan anymore. That's why you came over here, And to me, they don't win the tag team titles. It'll be like, what now?
Were they going to end up waiting until WrestleMania for this to happen? I'm getting to the point that I'm getting fed up with the fact that these 2 haven't won the titles. I'm sorry if whoever's a New Day fan. I was starting to get sick to my stomach.
Yeah,
being champions. I felt like
your stomach got stale from the Bootios.
I felt like Demolition, even though they're not even dead. Some of them are. So I think one member is dead. Crush is passed, yeah. But those guys, if I were them, I think, why would these 3 guys pass our title reign? I mean, could have been somebody else, but I guess that's my personal opinion. I mean, I never really cared for the New Day. I think I like them as singles competitors, but that whole thing with the I'm like, you sound like a bunch of owls or something. And
Al Pacino would say that in the movie Heat. Yeah, it's like, what are you? You're a fucking owl,
Yeah, so I'm really tired of that, and I know that they're trying to set a good example for children and stuff like that, but I'd rather see the Titus brand than this.
That's a brand?
I don't know. I want to see Titus win for some reason. I
can't even remember the last time he did win.
I feel like they're making a mockery of him. I mean, don't get me wrong. Titus Brown sounds pretty good, but I don't like the way they're using him. He needs to win championships. He's a powerful guy.
I think in many ways they're still punishing him for when he put his hands on Vince McMahon the night of the Daniel Bryan retirement ceremony.
I don't like that. I think Vince McMahon is really, shorthanding him on on that incident, because this guy has the qualifications to do it. He's just putting great talent over. And okay, he was one-time tag champion.
The only title he's held today.
Like a month.
He could have been an IC champion. He could have been a US champion at least. Not that
he hasn't had opportunities though. But again,
he did challenge Rusev for the US title last summer at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, that didn't go so well.
Yeah, but okay, minus the whole title Sunday theme, going back to the Raw Tag Championship, I kind of hate that it's a kickoff match to begin with. I think any championship match deserves to be on the main card no matter what. I don't
exactly,
care
especially in the Alamo Dome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, but the thing is, you guys have really been watching, WWE in its entirety. They've kind of just been focusing on the main championships again. They're kind of not really caring about the tag championships again on both shows. Yeah. And, I don't even know if you want to consider the Cruiserweight title anything, but I feel
its
like
main focus is on the 205
I
show.
feel like even them. I mean, but I feel like they're getting more exposure than like what the U.S. Championship. Maybe the U.S. Championship has a little more exposure right now than the Intercontinental title with Dean Ambrose holding it. But going back to the tag titles, I'm just kind of disappointed. I was really enjoying the tournament that they had on SmackDown with their titles, and Heath Slater and Rhino. Now that it's back, I mean, you gotta give credit to American Alpha. I mean, those are young guys, and hopefully they're multiple-time champions, but they're not really doing anything story-wise.
It's not.
Is it sad that the NXT Tag Team Championships featured at NXT TakeOver Saturday night?
That's more relevant. Yeah.
While neither the Raw nor the SmackDown version of the tag team titles, I mean, the Raw tag titles are defended at the Royal Rumble, but on the pregame show. The SmackDown tag team titles is American Alpha even featured in the Royal Rumble match, let alone the pay-per-view?
I don't even know if they're going to be there. So that's kind of the bad thing about the brand split. Like, now you have all these championships. You merge all this to one event. Should it be a 4-hour? Is it a 4-hour event?
Yes. All the big 4 pay-per-views going forward are going to be 4-hour pay-per-views.
Yeah, so again, that's just a lot of time, and that last hour is going to be dedicated to the Rumble, of course. Obviously, you're going to have your WWE and Universal Championship matches. That's going to happen no matter what. The
Raw Women's title on the line, which honestly, the Charlotte Bayley feud, I'm definitely very invested.
You're sold on that one.
I really am, because when you look at it, it's polar opposites. Bayley is, kind of like the Dusty Rhodes in this rivalry, the common girl, hey, I'm just like you. I was a fan of WWE, except, hey, I decided, as much as I wanted to be a fan, I also wanted to be more than just that. If I really want to be part of the WWE family, I want to be part of the WWE. And Bayley went from being super fan to superstar. And then you got Charlotte, who, while Bayley was working some independent shows and some high schools and VFW halls before getting into NXT, in 2013, Charlotte was a personal trainer, living very well, had some good money coming in, and all what it took was a question from then President of Talent Relations, John Laurinaitis, to ask, how come you're not wrestling? And before we know it, Charlotte's training at the NXT the NXT Performance Center down in Orlando, and honing her craft, and has done very well for herself. Where wrestling's been in her DNA, while Bayley, it took her years to perfect her craft. Yeah. So basically 2 polar opposites. You got the one that got inherited into the business and the other that basically worked their way in. Yeah. Not saying Charlotte didn't work her way in, but Bayley kind of had a little bit of a harder road.
It's hard. If you think about it, I've heard a lot of interviews from a lot of wrestlers. They told me some of them had to wrestle for $9 a match. And then sometimes they would short arm them. Like, there are people that wrestle for $20 a match in these little independent halls, and sometimes they don't even get
the full payment.
They don't get the full payment, and they have to get to the next town with whatever gas they have. So, some people do it for the love of it, some do it to the heart of it, and then sometimes they get next to nothing to get to the next town. It's a very noble career. It's a very hard career. So, with somebody getting inherited to the business, like one call, they're in. But these people that work and they travel and they bring food to the table, it's not a very easy business. So, my congrats to Bayley, even though, her getting this far, her working for it. She was mentioning, like, her parents, her father, they couldn't afford to get tickets. He got tickets anyway, whether it was in the nosebleeds or the front or the outside the door. So this is going to be a good match. Anyway, what's next on the next topic? What do you want to talk about now?
As far as not just that, but with Bayley and Charlotte, but also added to the Royal Rumble pregame show, Nia Jax taking on Sasha Banks. Thoughts on the rivalry between the Boss and the Monster of the women's division?
I don't like it one bit, because it seems like she's already injured. She was practicing her. She was working on her condition on her, I think it was her right knee.
Yeah, the knee that was injured at Roadblock.
And then she comes out of nowhere, Jax comes out of nowhere and,
squashes her.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I don't like the way it's going. I thought she shouldn't be competing in the beginning. It's making her so awkward. You figure she's like, she looks like she's only 75 to 80% ready.
And you don't want to go in 75 to 80% ready against a monster like Nia Jax, who is very remorseless, and is not afraid to take somebody out within the snap of her fingers. So as great as the boss is, 70, 80% against 100%, that doesn't match up very well. And then also on Raw, of course, we have the final hype for the Universal Championship. Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, where Chris Jericho will be locked in the shark cage. The cage of Jericho. Lock him in. But who's to say that's going to prevent Jericho from interfering? I've seen this many, many times, especially back in old NWA videos.
Wait, so quick question. Is the United States Championship even being defended at the Royal Rumble?
No.
I don't think so. Okay, so
the Universal title, yes.
Universal
US title, not so
Championship,
much.
yes, but I guess you could say that Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens are both the Universal and the U.S. Championship
Yeah.
together, whatever.
I thought they were going to change to the Canadian Championship.
I don't know. I know. Rumor has it that they're going to change both the U.S. Championship and the Intercontinental belts again soon. So I don't know exactly when. Probably maybe after WrestleMania. Maybe.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know what to say about this match because the feud has been going on for so long, and Jericho just finds ways to interfere, like regardless of.
That's what's cheapening the Universal Championship.
Yes. It stinks because, Finn Balor, it could have been a completely different story if he was still champion and, he was still rolling with that. Fortunately, the injury to his shoulder, at that last match that he had was just devastating. Took him out for hopefully 6 months. But hey, you never know. I heard he's going to be a surprise entrant, possibly. Who knows? No spoilers given. But
we're not spoiling.
We're not spoiling. That's a rumor. But, Chris Jericho, for me, I hate to say it, like, even though what Tony's saying, he's been kind of cheapening the title run for Kevin Owens, which is true. I completely agree with that. He's honestly the only one that's been making the show worth watching the past couple months.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, I don't care about Braun Strowman. I don't care what the heck Sami Zayn's doing. I don't care. Who else is it? I mean, Ross is supposed to have so much more talent.
Seth Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins.
Seth Rollins, yes. Guy who should be at the top, but right now he's just more of a mid-card.
But you knew that they were going to do this to him. You knew they were going to hype it for him versus Triple H.
Yeah, Triple H. Oh my gosh.
And speaking of Rollins, he's now officially out of the Royal Rumble match. And while we're happy for Sami Zayn to be entering the Rumble this time as a participant, not like a surprise last year, and plus, hey, I can't wait to be in San Antonio to sing along the Zayn's theme song because I always thought it was pretty cool. But at the same time, though, it sucked that it had to come at Rollins' expense because now, as per Stephanie McMahon, Seth Rollins losing to Sami Zayn means he's out of the Rumble matchup, meaning he has no chance of competing for the Universal or WWE title at WrestleMania now that he's not in the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
But it's funny how Stephanie will most likely deny Triple H's music playing. I mean, was that an accident in the production truck? Somebody fell asleep and accidentally played his music?
Or is it mind games for Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
That was Triple H is a master of the game. They don't call him the game for nothing, all right? I mean,
it's not for advertisement purposes.
He's not a former 14 world time champion for nothing, okay? I mean, it's,
And last year's winner of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Only the second person to ever win the WWE Championship in a Royal Rumble match. So
how convenient. He idolized Flair, too.
Yeah. And the first one to do so
it's true. You never know.
Was Ric Flair.
Yep.
But
the legend.
And, of course, a lot happened at last year's Royal Rumble, including AJ Styles' debut, which already marks today 1 year that the phenomenal AJ Styles has been a member of WWE.
Pretty crazy, huh?
I know.
And he will be appearing at Toys R Us, San Antonio, on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m.
Shameless plug over here.
I have the information here, and we'll do a few shameless plugs. For those in the San Antonio area that are ARMBAR fans, or those that are traveling to San Antonio for the Royal Rumble weekend, January 29th at 10 a.m. at 321 Northwest Loop 410 in San Antonio, Texas. Get to meet the WWE Champion AJ Styles before he beats up John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Yes, the match I look forward to most.
4.5 star and up match, hopefully. Okay.
Maybe even 6 stars.
Well, you hyped this up for yourself, Jay, so I hope you're not disappointed, okay?
As long as it's a great matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, they won Match of the Year last year, which... Speaking of the awards, of course, AJ Styles voted Wrestler of the Year by Pro Wrestling Illustrated for 2016.
Well deserved, yeah.
John Cena versus AJ Styles, SummerSlam 2016, the Match of the Year. I got to ask your take on this, Tony. Most hated wrestler always indicates best villain, best bad guy. What was your take on Roman Reigns, who's neither one, getting the nod for most hated?
Oh man,
That's your guys' take. Well,
you know what? Every time I go to a wrestling show, and every time I go to just a live show, even if I go to Buffalo Wild Wings, I'll stop by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Good wings too, by the way.
Okay, there'll be a couple fans, and you know, deep down inside, they're Roman Reigns fans. And you know when he hits anybody with the Superman punch, the guy looks like the guy that you can tell he's a Roman Reigns fan, but the rest of everybody's saying boo, 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 but they all get excited. So when he hits him with a Superman punch, the guy's like, oh boo! Like he starts changing his mind like a drone. I'm like, dude, okay.
Be yourself.
Be yourself for crying out loud. If you're a Roman Reigns fan, come out.
Exactly. We're not going to boo you.
I mean, even though he is not really good at promos and stuff like that, I mean, he's slowly getting better, but he's got great, skills in the ring.
He's a great talent.
Yeah.
And, they're not going to push people or put titles on someone if you're not that good.
Mm-hmm. So he messed up.
Even the great Khali, had his moments.
Even the Undertaker messes up on his promos all the time. No one cares. Okay, whatever.
Well, it's not about Khali as an in-ring talent. He had his moments.
He can hardly speak English, but
Yeah, he had translators, and oh my god.
He was a world champion. He won the title in Laredo, Texas. No, one time actually. Won the title in Laredo on a SmackDown TV taping.
Okay, and that question that you were asking about Roman Reigns?
What was your take on the fact that a guy that's not a bad guy, he's not a villain, and yet he wins the award for most hated?
It's just jealousy. It's just common jealousy. They're saying it's bad bookings. Mm-hmm. I mean, before he was just coming out of the crowd at the exit, coming through the railing, and all of a sudden they're booing him because of the poor bookings. Well, I mean, guys, you wanted him as champion in the beginning. Now all of a sudden you guys don't want him champion. What do you want? I mean,
yeah, they cheered Reigns when he was up against Batista as the final two participants in the 2014 Royal Rumble. But it starts at the 2015 Royal Rumble. Everyone wanted Daniel Bryan to win, but when that didn't happen, Reigns was a scapegoat. It has been since that time.
Well, ever since that, too, and if you think about it, people these days, today, this is a millennium. I mean, this is a millennium teens already now, and everybody's into heel. Everybody's into the dark side. It's like nobody goes for the face anymore. And it's very rare because now as adults, we think heels are cool. I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah. Bad
guys are awesome. I mean, when you're a kid, you learn about morals and you learn about good and evil. And so the kid's always going to go for the good guy, the hustle, loyalty, and respect. Well, hey.
Fight the big fight.
Fight the big fight. Okay. Well, as a kid, yeah, I was a big fan of being face, baby face fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Sting. I grew up with Sting, and sometimes Sting was a heel a couple times,
but didn't
very rare.
Yeah,
but he was.
But didn't last long with Sting being a bad guy.
Long. So, to me personally, I like a combination of both. I mean, Chris Jericho. I love Chris Jericho. He could be heel, he could be face, he could be whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It don't matter. I love Chris Jericho. I mean, he gives out the best promos. I mean, the list thing. I mean, I could say it over and over again. So
you know what happens when you don't mention Chris Jericho on Armbar? You just made the list.
Exactly. So anybody that's like really like just downing Roman Reigns, I bet you guys when he turns heel, you guys are gonna like boo him anyway. I mean, you can't give what people want. The girls go for him because he's a gorgeous guy.
Usually it's the opposite. When they turn heel, they cheer now.
Yeah.
Okay, which is interesting.
I'm sure even the Orthos will be like, hey, they'll still love Roman Reigns. I mean, aren't they big fans of him?
They're probably big fans of Roman Reigns, Randy Orton. I mean,
but look at a guy like Dolph Ziggler who recently went heel, and they cheered him.
Yeah,
he finally did it
because it was starting to get stale, and plus, Ziggler's interviews as a good guy didn't sound too believable. He sounded like, I don't know, like he was trying to convince me he's a good guy.
He just wasn't winning matches. He went from mid card to the main eventer, and then back to mid card.
Kalisto.
Yeah, it's like why do you think Mr. Perfect didn't work out as a good guy? because who's going to cheer a guy that thinks he's perfect? They want to boo a guy that looks down on people, And Dolph Ziggler at the end was like, we're tired of cheering for someone who doesn't sound believable as a good guy, And I just thought that was like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. But
what did you think about the clip? With him, giving a super kick to Jerry Lawler on the chest, and then
I thought it was disgusting, especially knowing that Lawler had the heart attack in 2012. JBL was very.
It right there. It didn't look like JBL was turning face a couple times. He showed a face.
Well, I mean, he was concerned because he's been friends with Jerry Lawler for years and years, and to see. I mean, he even stepped up for the King when the Wyatt family tried to attack the King during the Wyatt's feud with John Cena back in 2014, where even JBL was like, "Hey, come on, he's had a heart attack. Don't bother him," and to where even he got wiped out by a Luke Harper discus clothesline.
Yeah,
that was a clothesline from the way down depths of hell.
So yeah, I mean, JBL, he's just full of surprises, but he was one of my all-time favorite heels. I mean, he was like another Blackjack Mulligan, except
with $1 million gimmick.
Exactly.
And then also with the Royal Rumble, who could forget the iconic, three-man stare down, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and Goldberg.
Is there anyone out there that didn't enjoy that part or no? I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like it, no.
I actually watched...
You sound like the horse from Ren and Stimpy.
First of all, it's very cliche. Okay, here's why I can't. I knew from the get-go that The Undertaker was going to show up. As soon as Brock Lesnar came out, I was like telling myself... I was looking at the TV and I was telling myself, oh my god, like, The Undertaker is going to come out. I just know this already.
And where was this live at? Where was the show?
I don't know where the show was live at, but it was on Monday night.
It was in Ohio, I know that part.
Probably that much.
Because I remember Corey from Michigan telling me that they were staying across the state line in Michigan for their hotel.
Shout outs to Corey, who got to meet a few stars.
He got to meet the SmackDown Women's Champion Alexa Bliss and Luke Harper.
Jealous, not gonna lie, I'm super jealous. But anyway, so very cliche.
He wants to work at that hotel, Corey.
Instead of putting on like a good match at the end of the show, you're gonna waste the last 20 minutes of just Goldberg saying, "I'm gonna throw out 29 other guys, like they're all next again." Basically repeating himself for about a month ago, right?
Busted himself open with the locker room.
Brock Lesnar, I don't know what Goldberg did. He was busted open. He got some heat for that, I think, for bleeding on the air.
Well, he didn't. It wasn't like he bladed, and then he cut himself. It was a hard way.
Yeah, he just basically like psyched himself up and accidentally busted himself open. But anyway,
he said he was going to retire that for now.
So Lesnar was a little exciting. Reason being, everyone wants to see Lesnar. This guy's like, it's a rare sight to see him at any time. But again, he's a gimmick, just like all the other stars are. But he's paid to just show up. He's paid $1 million to show up one night, and that's it. But again, when the Undertaker showed up, I was just like, it's just going to be a stare down. Like nothing's going to happen. They're just
you're absolutely right. Right, because they aired more after the show, and they just walked.
But to me, it was pretty iconic because we've seen Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar plenty of times, including the night Brock Lesnar ended the undefeated streak of The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar we've seen, including Goldberg being the one in 1 minute and 26 seconds defeating Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. But Undertaker and Goldberg, that was the one I was like...
I don't want to see a match like that for you.
That's a dream match, and
the battle of the streaks.
It would be interesting to see. Especially if you see someone like Goldberg eliminate either the Undertaker at the Rumble or vice versa. Undertaker throwing out Goldberg, and then out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar just throws them both out at the same time. Who knows?
I think I'd rather see Undertaker and Goldberg at WrestleMania than Goldberg Lesnar 3.
It's getting annoying.
Yeah, no, I think they're done with the whole Goldberg Brock Lesnar and Undertaker thing. But that could lead up to an awesome triple threat match. Who knows? And maybe number one contenders match for something. Who knows?
Might make the Universal title mean something.
These are all legends. I hate to say it. I don't know if I want to put Brock Lesnar up there on Goldberg and Undertaker's pedestals yet. But
I have a question though.
Question for me. Oh, I like when people ask me questions.
Mike, is it? Yeah. Okay, question though, Mike, is the fact that Undertaker, I thought he's a SmackDown roster, so he's free to go to any...
if you saw that episode of Raw or SmackDown, I think it was on Raw, he said he's not confined to either show. He's going to go wherever he wants.
So he's a free agent. He could probably win both titles.
Technically, so is Goldberg.
Yeah.
The only one that's contracted is Brock Lesnar.
He's got a contract.
He's on Raw Monday
Certain
nights.
contract.
Yeah, and they drafted him. He's a legal draft. Goldberg nor Undertaker were drafted. So, yeah. Again, I don't care to see, Undertaker bounce back both shows. I mean, if he said that he's back and he's going to be back, I expect to see him back more than just pay-per-views. I want to see him on, whether it be on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, Superstars, main event, whatever you want to call it.
Let's not go that far.
Do they even show those shows anymore, SmackDown or Superstars?
Somewhere in the bowels of the WWE
I think
network.
205 Live is being pushed higher than those other shows that they used to show on the CW.
Holy Foley is being pushed more than Superstars and main event.
Yes, Holy Foley. And Noel Foley will be, in San Antonio also on Saturday and Sunday, just so you guys know. So,
We're going to be driving a lot.
Make me glad I'm single.
But anywho, so again, big cliche, and I hate to say it, I wish these guys were not in a Rumble match, though. They're just throwing away other people's opportunities. And honestly, I hate to say it, if the Undertaker wins, I'm going to be a little upset. I'm going to be really upset.
He's going to be wearing an Undertaker shirt.
And you're wearing a
Sorry,
Goldberg shirt.
AJ, I know you guys are going to be there. You're going to be marking out hardcore, right? But I hate to say, I don't know if I would be happy to see the Undertaker win. It doesn't.
He did it 10 years ago in San Antonio.
And that's the thing, the Undertaker, he's a big star, and I hate the fact that he's another, Rock, he's another John Cena, where he can just come and goes as he pleases, and he can just throw himself in the main event picture just because of, his stature. And yeah, he didn't earn anything to get into the Rumble match, obviously, he just showed up, digging holes, taking souls, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But it frustrates me that you have guys like Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, guys that are not even on the show anymore, Jack Swagger, Titus O'Neil, like Tony was mentioning, people, I was going to say Eric Young, but he's not.
Darren Young, unfortunately, is out of commission due to an injury to his arm coming up to the main event.
Sad to say. So much we'll throw Bob Backlund back into the Rumble and give that guy a shot.
Let's make Bob Backlund greater.
So it's just upsetting, for me to see guys that, aren't even being used on the roster. You have tag team partners like The Ascension. You have the Vaudevillains, guys that aren't even getting airtime. The Usos, who, as far as I know, none of them are injured. I don't think Jimmy or Jake
Golden Truth.
Why can't the Royal Rumble for tags and have it do it like an elimination over the top tag?
That would be interesting. And I've heard speculation that they're thinking about doing a female Rumble version of that also, so to speak. And again, that would be really cool to see, Tony. I don't disagree anything on the tag team portion or the female portion. But at the same time, if you're going to be throwing in surprise entrants from guys that were wrestling 20 years ago that are already retired, like Doink the Clown, or random, appearances by JBL. He just, gets out of his chair and just goes up there. It's like, when you have so much talent on the roster, why do you do that?
Might as well put 60 men in the damn show.
It should be a 40-man Rumble like it was a few years back when El Patron won it, right? Yeah. But, again, give these younger guys an opportunity. Guys like Baron Corbin, guys like,
Corbin's in it.
Or the Wyatts are in it, but again, they're not going to win.
No, I said Corbin's in it.
Corbin's in it, yeah. I thought I heard Orton, or he said Orton, I guess.
But yes, both Randy Orton and Baron Corbin are both in the Royal Rumble.
It'll be interesting, but again, I know that Raw and SmackDown 15 and 15, but at least out guys like that you might want to see, like Samoa Joe, for instance, NXT. Rumors, who knows, that could be a big thing. He doesn't have a match at NXT TakeOver, right?
No.
So that would be a big thing.
Can you imagine another rivalry with him and Kurt Angle in the Royal Rumble? Those three originals from TNA.
But the highlight of Monday Night Raw, at least, was, for me, aside from that, was the first announcement of the WWE Hall of Fame 2017, Kurt Angle.
Okay, I can't do it. Sorry, Corey from Michigan. Sorry.
It's okay. We still encourage music, Corey. Except I never did think Kurt Angle sucked. I always thought Kurt Angle was a great talent, good guy or bad guy. It does suck that a lot of his greater years were in Impact Wrestling, and I mean that no disrespect to Impact, but as much as I loved seeing Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, or Kurt Angle and AJ Styles, or even at the end Kurt Angle against Bobby Lashley, I would have loved to have seen Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan, or Kurt Angle and CM Punk.
Or you know, I always wanted to see Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart, but I know Bret Hart's
Oh,
not.
Yeah,
that's
by the time Angle got into the business, Brett was already
He
getting
was
out.
already out, yeah.
Kurt Angle and another one that, even today, guys like against Seth Rollins.
Kurt
Dude,
Angle versus
schooling
Jack
all these
Swagger.
guys.
Kurt Angle versus Jack Swagger.
Or American Alpha Man, he would be.
You're the manager. Give me the manager.
He's
Or
the,
even today, Kurt Angle and Shinsuke Nakamura. But then
Oh,
again,
gosh.
Angle's not retired technically. Just because you're going to the Hall of Fame doesn't mean you're done.
Yeah, I think he's one of the second active Hall of Famers.
I mean, according to rumors, he's not going to be in San Antonio for the Royal Rumble, but you never know.
Well, we could still see him in San Antonio.
I thought he's taking off the
I heard,
Indian.
I heard he was
and
taking off the Indian.
possibly
Yeah,
he could be in San Antonio. But
I mean,
he's
who
not gonna
knows?
sit there.
Who knows?
I mean, it would be a big surprise.
But yeah, I mean, it would be great to hear the Olympic music again of Kurt Angle.
I miss it.
But let's just kind of appreciate what Kurt Angle did. I mean, and we've probably talked about Kurt Angle before.
Yeah, plenty
prior
times.
to
He
this.
passed the torch to John Cena.
I mean, I remember back in our KCYP days, we talked about him a couple times back over there. But I mean, this guy was an all-star, man. I mean, this guy went from being, of course, transitioning from actual Olympic gold wrestling
Yeah.
to the WWE back then, WWF, obviously, right? Within a year, he held a couple of titles already, whether it be European Championship, Intercontinental title,
U.S. title.
U.S. title. I mean, he was a Grand Slam, right? As far as I know, he held every single major
WWF.
championship.
He did. And headlined WrestleMania in 2003 against Brock Lesnar.
I mean, he had such great matches with big names like Rock, Stone Cold, Brock Lesnar, Eddie Guerrero, you name it. Like
The
Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker. I mean,
The list is endless with Kurt Angle. I was even privileged to see Kurt Angle wrestle live before in 2005 when WWE came down to State Farm Arena when he challenged John Cena for the WWE
I was
Championship.
there. I think I was there.
The arena may have not been the most sold out crowd.
Yeah, but I think
But
I
it's still
wasn't
passion
actually.
crowd.
I remember that. But
Yeah.
because
We had no one of them at the
the
time.
reason why I went was because Kurt Angle was in that main event card. I didn't care to see John Cena, but I was like, okay, whatever. I knew John Cena was going to eventually get pushed
Yeah.
forward from that time. But I remember it was not a sold out show at all. It was like one of the lowest attended shows that I've ever seen from a live event down here.
Yeah.
But
Corey was there too for that one. We were there, and we were, I think, second or third row. And I was even lucky enough to be ringside when the last time I was in the Alamo Dome, I was ringside for Lockdown when Kurt Angle took on Wes Briscoe in a cage match. Which, although maybe not the best match I'd seen live from Kurt Angle, but it is what it is. But I was even privileged to get to meet Kurt Angle. I've shown you the pictures.
Yeah.
Where I met Kurt at the fan interaction in San Antonio, which that was awesome meeting not just a great wrestling superstar, but an Olympic champion in Kurt Angle. And finally, I'm glad that he's taken his rightful spot into the WWE Hall of Fame on Friday night, March 31st. Not the night before WrestleMania, but the Friday night before WrestleMania.
yeah, I think they're starting to air it live on the WWE Network now, or no?
Yeah.
Is it still USA Live?
Well, they're going to do it live on the WWE Network.
They're
But
not
then
going to do it in USA either.
USA, they'll do it but after WrestleMania, where the Friday night is going to be the WWE Hall of Fame. Saturday night's NXT TakeOver Orlando. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And then WrestleMania that Sunday night.
Big congrats to him, though. Well deserved. I mean, what a storied career from WWE to TNA to New Japan.
Yeah.
All over the place, basically. I mean, he's done it all in basically every spectrum of the business. I mean, and not a lot of people can say that they've been major championships in all of those outlets.
Member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, member of the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, class of 2013, and now member of the WWE Hall of
to
Fame.
be honest, and like
2017.
I just said, I don't think anyone's going to rival that of his accolades as far as championships go. Again, going from promotion to promotion.
He reminds me like the
great.
Bob Backlund of wrestling.
In many ways, yeah. Or
Bruno
Yeah.
Sammartino.
to a degree, yeah, Bruno.
This generation,
yeah.
at least, yeah. I mean, and the fact that he's been still doing it with addiction problems and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't dive too much into that.
Yeah, it's
He's had
best to
history
think of the
past.
positive as
But
opposed to the negative.
I mean, to come back from stuff like that, a guy that fought and battled it, and to still be at the top of your game regardless of those circumstances, I think it's a big thing. I mean,
And I'm happy that Kurt Angle's finally taken his rightful spot. As far as who should induct him, I've heard names from Jim Ross, possibly even Brock Lesnar.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, who knows?
The Austin
They've had quite a
Angle-
rivalry too.
maybe not my
Yeah.
favorite rivalry was Austin versus Angle, but they had some good matches. But My personal favorite Kurt Angle rivalry, I'd have to say, would be him and Brock Lesnar, or him and, the matches are now pretty much, in a vault somewhere.
Back in the WWE Network. Yes.
And then, of course, after Raw, SmackDown this past Tuesday night, the A show of the WWE. What about that epic promo between, WWE champion AJ Styles and John Cena have already wrestled twice on pay-per-view, both times Styles being victorious at Money in the Bank and at SummerSlam. But now this time for the championship in front of one of the biggest audiences in WWE history in the Alamo Dome.
Which we will be there.
Yes, we will be there. Right there.
I'm jealous of these guys right here again.
Wait, we told you about the show in advance, man. That was not our fault.
The money wasn't there for me, guys, but maybe next year if they're remotely close and there's a pay-per-view, we'll make the trip for sure. Definitely.
Well, Survivor Series will be in Houston next year. Or later this year, I'm sorry.
Let's talk about also, guess who's going to be at the South Texas Comic-Con?
I'll definitely get to that momentarily.
Yes, sorry about that.
I want you to know about that already.
AJ Styles and John Cena, third match at the Royal Rumble. The interview between the two, where Styles had said, Cena, you're not all that great of a wrestler. The same old what we've heard over the years from everyone that came from another promotion to WWE, except now this time it's from AJ Styles. But for John Cena to say, and I don't know if he took this as a condescending remark or if he took this as, hey, you know what, maybe he's right. He wasn't built for the indie scene. He was built for the WWE. Your thoughts on that comment leading in, of course, to Sunday's Rumble pay-per-view?
Also hearing comments like he's just a guy from Atlanta. I hate to say I don't like the bit that they showed from the morning show. I thought that was complete trash or whatever. Yeah. I think that was total disrespect on John Cena's part. I know he was just playing his part or whatever, but to not even acknowledge or give a name out, just guy from Atlanta, I think that's total disrespect. This is the guy that,
is the champion.
He's the champion. And to, again, AJ Styles mentioned like his little picture is way in the back of that Royal Rumble.
And John Cena's right in the front.
You have John Cena, Undertaker, Goldberg, and Brock Lesnar right in the front. John Cena's not even anything right now, if you think about it.
I could see the seniority part of it because Cena's been in WWE since 2002.
Yeah.
While Styles was elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But Styles is the champion. He should have a little bit more of a push, in that picture, especially since he and Cena are headlining the SmackDown portion of the Royal Rumble, which, when you look at it, history's always been that SmackDown's had the better main events than Raw, for the most part, at the Royal Rumble.
Not disagreeing there.
Including Angle and Benoit in 03, as well as also, now that I think about it, Jeff Hardy and Edge in 2009, Undertaker and Rey Mysterio in 2010, even Edge and Dolph Ziggler in 2011. But
how does this guy remember all that, man? Shoot, that guy quite Mr. WrestlePedia there, okay?
And now I'm hoping to add Cena and Styles 2017 because let's face it, this one has a little bit more depth to the rivalry than Reigns and Owens. Almost said Rusev, Reigns and Owens, because you look at it, Cena has been the WWE made machine while Styles, went around the world before finally coming to WWE at last year's Royal Rumble, and this is better than Flair and Hogan, the Super Dream match. Probably better than what could have been with Austin and Goldberg. We finally got with Cena and Styles last year at Money in the Bank, to where now this year at Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship, it's still just as relevant and still just as anticipated. And me and Tony get to see it live at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. We might see it in Hidalgo too, the rematch the next night.
Well, again, going back to the promo that you asked us about again, I don't know if Tony saw it, but basically, John Cena just saying, doesn't matter what the heck he did outside of WWE, whether he was an IWGP champion, whether he was a TNA champion, whatever. This is that's WWE is the mecca of all wrestling.
And to some degree, what Cena said is right because, it's kind of like you get hired at HEB and yet you were a manager at Walmart, you were a supervisor at Kmart, or you were a general manager at, say, Toys R Us. You come to HEB, it's like, well, what you're doing here is what matters most because to some degree you're starting over.
Yep.
You're working from the bottom of the way up.
You're not going to be, straight to a promotion. With AJ Styles, I was amazed that he was bypassed through NXT and into the WWE roster, which these days, someone comes in from another promotion, they're going to most likely be told, hey, you're going to start at NXT. Styles didn't have to. And
rare.
It's rare. And where we had seen years prior where some wrestlers, like Kevin Owens, getting his name changed from Kevin Steen to Kevin Owens.
And Kevin Steen, that's his government name.
Yeah. And that's what he was known by in Ring of Honor. Yet AJ Styles comes in, nothing changed about AJ Styles except the name of the company he works for now.
And he still does the thing with the gloves and the Phenomenal One. It's
P1, they don't want none.
Yeah.
And then also, your thoughts on Mickie James and why she why she attacked Becky Lynch in the cage match?
I always love.
I mean, she didn't really give a straight answer. She just basically said, "My resume. I'm a 5-6-time women's champion."
But she did say that she felt the women's revolution disrespected her because she made it seem like she had never done anything in her time wrestling in WWE, which is not true because up until Sasha versus Bayley, Sasha and Charlotte, their rivalry, which by the way won the 2016 Feud of the Year by Pro Wrestling Illustrated, a women's rivalry, which is awesome, and something different too. And yet the last great women's match, remember, was Mickie James and Trish Stratus at WrestleMania 22. And before then, how many great women's matches were there, at least in WWE, especially in the
with Lay Cool.
I'm trying to forget that era thing.
I hated
the
that.
Diva era. Well, you can't.
The stupid butterfly candy looking title.
Yeah, again, you can't, take things away from wrestlers like, Beth Phoenix or AJ Lee or even the Bella twins or Natalia as well. But, just between that, grace period of eras or whatever, there really wasn't too much going on. There really wasn't a lot of focus. So, you got to give them credit for that. I mean, for that feud that they were able to get feud of the year. I mean, how many other women can say that they got feud of the year?
Year before was Sasha and Bayley from their Iron Man match at NXT TakeOver Respect, which got the match of the year in 2015. But with Mickie, I could see where she had her point. But while I'm liking the Becky Lynch, Mickie James rivalry, I'm liking how Alexa Bliss is transitioning from her rivalry with Becky Lynch to now a new challenger with Naomi, which could see Naomi eventually either get the SmackDown Women's title. Sorry, the Divas title has been retired for almost a year now, and no one's missing it.
Nobody's missing it now.
To where we could see a new, either a new champion or at least a new contender, And I'm sure you'd like to see more of Naomi versus Alexa. I'm sure, Mike.
That'll be interesting, and it's well deserved that Naomi finally get somewhat of a push. She just kind of
I haven't seen her in a while.
She's been out with an injury, of course.
Yeah, and she's had her chance before, but they didn't give her the balls to run with, sadly. And now, if this is a legit thing, I hope it's not just 1 week to 1 week and that's it. Give her a legit chance. Let Becky Lynch feud with, Mickie James. Mickie James hopefully transitions into the female roster. Let's make it mean something, though. I don't want, just to be like a meaningless match,
Yeah.
Whether Mickie James comes in to, make people respect what she's done in the business, and she's done a lot. I mean, she's gone, again, from WWE to other promotions.
She defeated Hall of Famer Trish Stratus.
She retired another Hall of Famer, Lita.
Yes.
We'll be at the South Texas Comic-Con in the month of April.
And, coming back from humble beginnings, she's done a lot for the whole women's revolution to begin with, starting back in those early 2000s. So, I'd like to see what she can do. You don't see a lot of veteran female wrestlers coming back.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Trish Stratus, but then she got, baby bump.
Yeah.
She got a big bump. So, I don't know if that opportunity's ever
Took a bump.
Yeah, that's probably never going to come into play now with her second child coming along. So.
Yeah. I think
Lita's not going to come back. She's done.
Yeah, but she'll be at Comic-Con in the month of April.
She'll be at Comic-Con. We'll get to see her in
about 3 months.
3 months,
yeah. And then, and also the rivalry with Nikki Bella and Natalya continues, which kind of culminates into the 6 women's tag match that will be featured on the pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, with Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi against Mickie James, Natalya, and Alexa Bliss. All 3 rivalries being put into one. I'm sure this will be a great trios match, and yes, that was
not a fan of those matches just to throw them on.
Luchadora.
Yeah, I love the Luchadors. My favorite female wrestler. But I'm not a fan of these like triple tag team whatever 3 women or 6 women tag matches. Yeah. I hate it. I feel like they're just using them just to kill up airtime because these matches again don't really mean much. It's a useless match. I mean, this is going to be like pre-show. But again, why not have Alexa Bliss defend against Naomi for the SmackDown Women's Championship? It's just because, that feud just started. Screw it, do it, man. Just throw it in, have the title be defended at this major pay-per-view. Make Alexa Bliss's title reign mean a little more, other than the fact that she's been kind of hiding and using a lot of heel tactics, which I can say that not a lot of females can pull that off. I mean, to be honest, maybe Nikki Bella was the last female wrestler to do it. Charlotte Flair also got to use that name with her and Dana Brooke. But I mean, Alexa Bliss is pulling it off well, and I think honestly, I feel like even though in a in-ring level, she's not up there with any of the Raw stars just yet. She's still doing it for SmackDown.
Yeah, right? And SmackDown, there's a reason it's called the A Show, and it's better wrestling, better opportunities.
She needs to push more, though. I mean, she needs to give us more. I hate to say it, but Charlotte is the top woman wrestler in the business right now.
And
I hate to say.
Well, hey,
any disagreements? I don't know.
Well, Pro Wrestling Illustrated agreed with you. That's why she was voted the Woman of the Year.
Yeah, even though people are going to always argue that she's only there because of her father. All he did was make a phone call. That was it.
Yeah, all they just asked was, "Hey, why aren't you wrestling?" And well, before you know it, Charlotte Flair just happens to be the final Divas champion and a 3-time Raw Women's champion,
undefeated at pay-per-views. So let's see if that streak continues.
With the exception of Battleground in July when she and Dana lost to Sasha and Bayley.
Was a non-title match, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Charlotte was not the one that was pinned. Dana Brooke was.
So she didn't lose that match.
Yeah, technically. Yeah, you're right. And then, of course, going on from SmackDown, NXT this past Wednesday, speaking of the women, the women's NXT Championship.
Fatal 4
with Asuka, the very dangerous Nikki Cross from Sanity.
We were watching that earlier. I picked you up, yeah.
And then, of course, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay from Australia.
Not a fan of Billie Kay. Love Peyton Royce, except for when I saw her teeth.
Oh, yeah. She needs to reconstruct.
Yeah, she needs to get that not facial, but she needs to get her teeth fixed. Yeah.
Maybe they'll take her to Dr. Yankum. I don't know.
Don't smile on air is all I'm saying.
Yes. But this won't be about beauty. This won't be about
sporty spice.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
This won't be about a beauty contest. It's about the NXT Women's Championship that Asuka has now held longer than anybody
in NXT history.
Yeah, since last 8.
She's undefeated, right?
Asuka has never had her shoulders pinned to the mat. I've never seen Asuka tap. Nope. I don't even think I've seen Asuka get counted out or disqualified, let alone lose a match.
Let's just say if she loses, let's hope that she gets a main roster push. I mean,
I'd love to see Asuka against Charlotte or Asuka against Becky Lynch. Asuka's just, as one of my buddies, Rachel, put it, she just looks like she can kill someone.
She's a different attraction, just like Shinsuke.
I was watching a couple matches with Asuka versus Nia Jax, and I don't like the chemistry with those two.
No, well, you have to give the fact that Nia Jax was still in developmental, and she's honestly.
And also big ups to Nia Jax being the Rookie of the Year by Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Wow.
But the thing is, I didn't like. I just if a fan watches a good match, what does a fan remember? The finish, right? Well, when I saw the finish twice, and she did the same thing again to Asuka, Nia Jax. All she did was scream in her face, like ah, and then kick in the face. 1, 2, 3. Did you remember that?
Yeah,
the closing. What is number? It was in NXT, and also it was in another match, and she was already.
You talking about the NXT recently in Osaka, right?
Yeah. Well, it was not in NXT. Also, it was not just on NXT. It was another Raw show. I think it was not a. It was
Takeover the end back in June of last year.
Yeah, what is up with that? Like, why would you do that? That's a terrible finish.
It kind of does
scream in her face, a battle cry, and then get kicked in the face.
It does kind of humanize Nia Jax when she's supposed to be this big monster.
Yeah, I don't like it.
But also perhaps the NXT the thing I love about NXT. I've never seen a takeover show where one of their championship matches is reduced to the pregame show. In fact, is there even a pregame show for a takeover show?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
The DIY, who won the NXT Tag Team titles at the last takeover show in Toronto against the tag team that won the Dusty Rhodes Classic, if you will, baby. I'm talking about the Authors of Pain, led by the very dangerous but yet very smart Precious Paul Ellering. And Tony, you remember Precious Paul from his days managing the Road Warriors.
Yes.
As dangerous as the Road Warriors were, as Hawk used to say, they were the runaway train He was the conductor.
He was the mastermind, pretty much. Yeah, he was the mastermind of the operation. And that guy went with, when they were in WCW, WWE, AWA, any wrestling promotion, he linked to them because he was, like you said, he was the conductor.
Yeah. And now he's the conductor of Akam and Razor, the authors of Pain. And this is one story Paul Ellering hopes to have written in the final chapter, new NXT Tag Team Champions.
Undefeated tag team, though.
Yeah.
Have no losses. Very big guys.
Yeah.
Scary dudes.
First time we saw them when they took out American Alpha last year.
They were built like 6'3", 290.
Close to 300 pounds each.
The other one is over 300. I think there's one that's 6'4", 330.
Yeah, so.
He's from Albania.
Yeah.
So you got, Tommaso Ciampa and who else?
Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
These guys are half their size, and they're going to have to take down Authors of Pain. I would not want to be in the ring with those two guys.
This ain't the Revival they're wrestling. That's the Authors of Pain.
It's like, I hate to say it, no disrespect, but two of me versus Tony and Jay.
Or as my late dad used to say when we used to see the Rockers take on the Twin Towers, the big boss man Akeem for the younger fans out there, it's like seeing two poodles against two pit bulls. Is ultimately what it is.
Or boxers or whatever you want to call them, German Shepherd.
Rottweilers, there you go.
Rottweilers, oh gosh.
That's probably more the Authors of Pain than they are pit bulls.
So, and they kind of remind me of what Roman Reigns wears in gear. They wear that black
vest and
black vest and the boots and everything like that.
Tattoos.
Like some lineage there. I'm not too sure if there is, but
and I thought they were Samoan at first. They're not Samoan. They're not. One's from Albania, and I think one's from either Canada or something. I think either Canada or the northern region.
No,
I got to research it again.
Yeah,
but one of them's from there.
But also the NXT Championship on the line, Shinsuke Nakamura against Bobby Roode.
That's a good match.
It'll be a good match, hopefully.
The biggest money match people say in NXT history. But I got to ask you this much: do you see Nakamura retaining? Or will it be a glorious beginning for Bobby Roode?
After that long feud with Samoa Joe, I would hate to see Nakamura lose the championship because he for the better part of 2016 he was the NXT champion. Since TakeOver Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
More than half a year already.
Yeah.
He's been kind of the face of NXT. And, the guy, he's still learning English or whatever. He's still doing his thing in the ring. I don't know.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
He got some pretty good promos, yes. But I don't know if NXT needs him, And I don't know if NXT needs Bobby Roode either.
Triple H had said in a press conference or in a conference call that the reason Shinsuke Nakamura was brought over to NXT was to get him to be experienced with working a television show like NXT, to be exposed to television audiences. Mm-hmm. Well, yes, he worked New Japan Pro Wrestling for years and did a few spots here and there with Ring of Honor, even on ROH television. It's a different ballgame when you're now coming to WWE and having to work in front of their television audience.
And cut longer promos, basically, also, yeah.
So I could see, even Triple H should say eventually it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we could see Shinsuke and possibly even Bobby Roode on the main roster because, really, especially at their ages, they should be on Monday or Tuesday night instead of just Wednesday night. But I will say, they've been a very big part of NXT, have both Shinsuke Nakamura and Bobby Roode since they were rivals from their respective companies. Mm-hmm. Bobby Roode's the longest reigning Impact Wrestling World Champion in history. Nakamura was a 5-time IWGP Intercontinental Champion and 3-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And the first man to hold those titles with the NXT Championship is just amazing already. By the way, also, back to the PWI Awards, I'm sure this will get a couple of thumbs up here. Shinsuke Nakamura, most popular wrestler of 2016.
Which is definitely a surprise, especially for fans that are really just keen on watching WWE.
He's had quite a bit of good runs in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I've seen the match with him versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
I think that's when Lesnar defeated him for the
IWGP Heavyweight title.
Yeah, Heavyweight title.
He didn't. I don't think he beat Nakamura for that. He did defend it against Nakamura, but Nakamura also had great matches with the likes of AJ Styles, including last year's Wrestle Kingdom, which was the last major Japanese show before Styles and Nakamura came to WWE, which I'm sure before then you hadn't had a lot of exposure to either Styles or Nakamura. Is that correct, Mike?
Correct. I mean, aside from seeing bits and pieces of online of AJ Styles, from TNA, from the X Division, it was mostly when he was doing X Division.
And then when he came to WWE, like you said, at first you were kind of apathetic to it, but the more you saw of AJ Styles, and I'm sure the more you saw of Nakamura, the more you thought, where have you been all my life? And it's going to be a great matchup with Nakamura and Rude. I'm sure it's going to be a main event that's going to definitely tear the house down Saturday night. Probably a little bit more impact than Valentina Shevchenko and Juliana Pena this Saturday night on UFC, which will be another great women's UFC women's bantamweight battle. And then also, of course, as Mike is right now doing some production on his phone here.
We're producing right now on our phone. Okay.
Also, of course, now that we've gone through NXT Impact Wrestling earlier tonight, Bobby Lashley becoming the now 4-time TNA World Champion, defeating Eddie Edwards in the 30-minute Iron Man match, which you don't see too many Iron Man matches these days. But did you think, Tony, seeing Lashley, he was built for an Iron Man match, especially for 30 minutes? And then, of course...
That I did not expect at all. I'm just writing some stuff down, guys. Disregard.
This is the list of Matuk.
Yeah.
Don't want to be on that list.
What about the Bucks of Youth taking on the challenge of the Hardy?
It was announced this past week on ROHWrestling.com. The Bucks of Youth, or the Young Bucks, in which they are the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, taking on the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, the Hardy Boys. I mean, Broken Matt showing up on Ring of Honor's big pay-per-view Final Battle back in December and challenging the Young Bucks. I mean, he had been calling them out for quite some time on Impact Wrestling, but to show up on the pay-per-view and to see Broken Matt make the challenge, and now it's already taking place at Supercard of Honor. What Supercard of Honor is, to most fans that may not be familiar with Ring of Honor, it is their show before WrestleMania. Every year since 2004, with the exception of 2005, Ring of Honor has done where they go to the same town or similar outside town the WWE's at for WrestleMania to do Supercard of Honor. They did that last year in Dallas, did that in Los Angeles back in 2015, where the main event was Jay Briscoe and Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor World Championship before Joe came over to NXT. It's been done for years, but to see the Young Bucks and the Hardys, this is where I'm thinking, why isn't Supercard of Honor done on pay-per-view? Why has it got to be just a show for the fans to see in the Orlando area when that could be something that could go head-to-head? Think of the business. I mean, we saw Starrcade go head-to-head with the Survivor Series. We saw WrestleMania go head-to-head with Clash of the Champions. Why not the night before WrestleMania, NXT TakeOver Orlando goes head-to-head with Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor?
I don't know. I hate to say it, but I don't think Ring of Honor is still on that level. I mean, they have the talent. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. The talent's there. I mean, just from seeing that one pay-per-view that I watched at your house back last year, right?
Yeah.
The talent's there. They have the talent, but the exposure is not there, man. It's just not there. Like, it's not what WCW was. It's not what TNA currently is right now. I hate to say that. I mean, even though TNA is still, or Impact, whatever you want to call it, is still kind of transitioning from ownership and new logos.
Going from Band Energy with Dixie Carter.
But, I can see Ring of Honor being a bigger show than what it is. Now that they are airing it live on or not live, but at least showing the recorded tapings on CBS. Even if it's on a Friday night at 9 o'clock at night time. You know what I mean?
Well, it's Saturday. Well, they're different broadcasts. They do different syndications. Like here in the Valley, it's at 10:35 p.m. on Saturday nights here in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got to miss this coming weekend's show because in San Antonio, it's on at 9 in the morning on their local CW station.
Right.
By that point, we're already on the road. We're already traveling to San Antonio. And then the next showing they have is at 9 p.m. on Sunday nights in San Antonio, same local affiliate. But, where me and Tony will be along with Mrs. Machine, and that's going to be at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. So I just say I'll just wait till I get home to watch it on my DVR early Monday morning, and then afterwards try to get some rest between that and when I meet up with you, Mike, at the State Farm Arena in Hidalgo
It'll be fun. I'll be sporting my white strapped Intercontinental title belt, by the way.
It's
Supporting the who, Tony? The lunatic fringe,
And
Dean Ambrose.
he is our Dean Ambrose for life.
I'll wear my wig. Okay.
No. Don't
And also-
they're going to big time mark out.
And then also big ups to Dean Ambrose, who this past week on SmackDown Live successfully defended the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz in a lumberjack match. And can't wait to see Dean Ambrose again this coming Monday night.
Interesting. I think it's going to be a triple threat match or something like that.
Well, the live event's scheduled for Dean Ambrose and The Miz, while it's scheduled to be AJ Styles, John Cena, and Baron Corbin, who I admit I'm still not particularly sold on with Corbin, but we got to wait and see.
They're giving him opportunities.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Yeah.
It's just got to make the most out of him. Let's
hope it's a good match. I mean, I wasn't disappointed in that last triple threat match with Ziggler, Styles, and Corbin. So.
Yeah.
So, but how are we on the script here, Mr. J? Because
We are unscripted. This is a format.
This is not format, yeah. But we gotta get. Let's wrap things up.
All right.
I don't want to take away from that. Thank you.
Well, we already finished up with that.
Okay, so one thing that I do want all three of us, make mention of, this is the Royal Rumble this weekend. I just want everyone to share their favorite experience, or not their favorite. It could be your favorite. It could be the first time you ever watched the Royal Rumble. Also, but just share one experience where you were just like, "Wow, like this is, I love watching this."
What was your favorite Rumble?
My favorite Rumble would probably be the one where Shawn Michaels was basically hanging off the ropes, where Bret Hart thought that he basically, was it Bret Hart or was it
British Bulldog?
British Bulldog, excuse me.
Yeah.
When Davey Boy Smith basically thought he eliminated, everyone thought that he won.
Yeah.
And then Michaels pulls in, throws him out from nowhere. And of course, after you watch the replay, that was it. Shawn Michaels was definitively the winner. After they showed that he only had 1 foot, and what's the golden rule?
Both feet must hit the floor.
And Kofi Kingston is the one that knows a little bit about that rule.
Yep. I'm sure we'll see that Sunday.
That was one of my favorite, and this is one that I saw on VHS. I rented it from Top Video back in the day. This is one of the matches that got me into wrestling. I wasn't too hard into wrestling. I would watch a little bit of WCW, but when I watched that on VHS, I got hooked, and I was like, that was it for me from there. Shawn HBK, the legend, who will be there this Saturday at the Alamo Dome. I think he should be
Saturday?
Yeah, Sunday. Excuse me. It's late, like Tony said, right? But this Sunday at the Royal Rumble, it'll be great, and I'm envious that you guys will get to be
in the dome.
But yeah, Tony, go ahead. You're next.
My favorite match. Well,
or just favorite moment.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just the Royal Rumble match. It could be any match that took place at a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, the thing is, I was watching an old match, and I think what got me into it was, who the first Royal Rumble winner was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I got to meet that man, and it was the last final match. It was him versus One Man Gang, or AKA Akeem.
Yeah,
and he faced him, and then he was the first guy. I mean, he didn't win any championships in WWE. I think he was just a U.S. champion in WCW when he faced Steve Austin and defeated him in like 5 minutes or so.
Also was the UWF heavyweight champion in Mid-South.
Yeah.
And I believe he also defeated the One Man Gang for that title.
Yes. I mean, he defeated One Man Gang. He, One Man Gang was like charging him with a clothesline. He just grabbed the edge of the rope and hit it. And that took off for him. Unfortunately, he didn't win the title at WrestleMania. I think who was he facing against?
He was in the tournament that year to crown the new WWE champion after Andre the Giant tried to sell the championship to Ted DiBiase, which was like, no, that's not going to happen.
Ted was champion. I don't care what you guys
say. But, that's what made me a wrestling fan. I loved Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So
the 2x4, the American flag. Yeah, I was a big fan also back then.
Even though, it got into an overture on the the patriotism and stuff, but
USA.
I think that's how it started. I mean, there's so many things that happened. I mean, during the Iran War, the Iraqis and Iran, and then him versus Iron Sheik. I mean, we're reliving that again and again, and then past the Hulk Hogan, and then all these guys. I mean, I even enjoyed watching Hulk Hogan winning the Royal Rumble. Do you remember that one?
90 and 91.
90-91. I remember when he defeated it was one of the. He lasted for 20 years. That shortest Royal Rumble defeat.
Oh, the Warlord.
The Warlord.
Back in,
It was,
I believe
3
it was
seconds or 2? It was 2 seconds. Am I right?
2 seconds. I believe it was in '89. He went in, was already out, and that was broken by Santino Marella, who claims he wasn't ready that year. But once you step in the ring, your entire body's inside. You're pretty much telling the other participant, "I'm ready."
Yeah. So I gotta give it to that. What's your favorite?
So many, man. I mean, there was '97 when Shawn Michaels came home to San Antonio and won the WWE Championship from Psycho Sid. The stare down between Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior at the '90 Royal Rumble, where that was like the prelude of what you're going to see at WrestleMania 6. But we'll get to WrestleMania moments later on in this season for Armbar. We're in Royal Rumble season right now. Another was seeing Rey Mysterio win the Royal Rumble, especially in memory of the late great Eddie Guerrero.
That.
The Undertaker winning it 10 years ago was awesome. John Cena, when he made his unexpected return at the Garden, man. I remember I was at Buffalo's that night, and the crowd in the Garden popped. So did the crowd at Buffalo's that night. As far as favorite Rumbles within the past 20 teens, I guess, really can't say I've had too many. I mean, there's been some moments. Like, hey, AJ Styles debuting last year. But another favorite of mine, although for the wrong reasons, unfortunately, was Batista winning the 2014 Royal Rumble. And the reason I say for the wrong reason, because he was supposed to be the big fan favorite. Everyone's like, oh, hey, he's Batista, he's back, yeah. And the crowd was like, get the hell out of here. You've had your time, Batista. We're here for Daniel Bryan. And that's when WWE management realized they messed up when they pretty much were relying on the wrong horse.
Yeah, and that was just a really bad run on Batista's part. He said it was his worst run ever, basically. Right?
Yeah, but at the same time, though,
at the same time too.
The same token, was a Batista return even necessary at that point?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It seemed cool on paper initially, but when it panned out, it was like, this isn't 2002 when Hulk Hogan came back. Yeah, Evolution.
Then Evolution, oh my god.
Oh my. Or Batista.
Then again, that did lead to Seth Rollins being
the man,
okay, or buying in, so to speak. So I mean, you have to look at like how things kind of fall into place. So.
But ultimately, another favorite Rumble memory of mine, and I'm sure Tony will agree with this, is when Tony and I will be at the Alamodome in San Antonio Sunday.
Yeah.
Which, can't believe, man, I've been to 26 wrestling shows. This will be number 27 this Sunday, and 28 next Monday, which I gladly share with Mike.
Back to back.
Yes. I'm going to be so wrestling drunk by the time Monday night ends that Tuesday night I'm going to be wrestling hungover.
Especially wrestling drunk right now. I am so freaking thirsty.
I think that's time for us to cut, all right, you guys. So, hey, any final thoughts, big shout-outs before?
Yeah, I want to do a few shout-outs. Mike, why don't you go first?
Just shout-outs to family and friends, mom, dad, anyone who supports wrestling scene, basically. Big shout-out to Joe Don from an independent wrestling promotion down here, I suppose. He's a tag champion for that promotion. Shout-outs to the Renegades of Wrestling. They followed our page on Twitter. So big shout out to them. Shout out to all my HEB peeps out there. Anyone watching, big shout out to you for being fans of wrestling talk, the wrestling podcast in general, and the wrestling industry. We don't do this just for fun. We do it because we love talking about it, because we want others to get inside the conversation as well. So thank you.
Shout outs to those that we're going to get the chance to see in San Antonio and Hidalgo, like my friends Freddie, Mindy, X-Man, and Jesse. Can't wait to see you guys in San Antonio, as well as in Hidalgo. Rachel, John the Rocker, and as well as also shout-outs to family and friends. Kayla, one of my coworkers over at Freedom Fitness. Hope you're watching Sunday at the Royal Rumble. And also just overall to family and friends of ARMBAR, just thank you and continue your support of ARMBAR Radio, the RGV home of wrestling and MMA talk.
Okay, I want to give out a shout-out, a few shout-outs. I'm going to give a shout-out to Mrs. Machine, my wife. She's a big supporter of our show. And I also want to give a plug. It's going to be for my brother, Blair. Blair, if you are listening, on the show. This is it. This is what I want to tell you guys. If you have back problems, if you're uptight, you're just exhausted, stress is bothering you, you get out of work, or any particular physical issue, my brother is a licensed massage therapist at Massage Envy on 10th and Dove. Swing by to Massage Envy on 10th and Dove. He's certified. He's a massage therapist. His name is Blair Matuk. He's been doing this for a long time. Check it out. If you guys never get, come on, Mike, I hate hearing myself. Anyway,
All right.
I just want to let you know that this guy is very good at what he does. And if you guys don't know him, if you guys ever follow RGV Fitness, he was actually Mr. March issue 2011 for RGV Fitness, Blair Matuk. So he was in great shape at the time. He's still in good shape. He's just a little bit more massive. Just, support. Put some support in him. You guys have a hard time with ligaments, back issues. Swing by Massage Envy on 10th and Dove, right next to Lowe's. Don't miss it. Request for Blair Matuk, or mean it. Blair Matuk, one of the best. And I just want to let you know that I'm proud to be here, ARMBAR. It's not about me. It's not about him. It's not about Mike. It's not about our other colleague, Isaac. It's not just me. It's not just my show. It's everybody's show. I just want to let you know that I'm proud to be a member of ARMBAR. And I want to give a shout out to Isaac. And I just want him to know that we do miss you, man. It would be great if you want to drop by. And,
Hopefully his car gets started.
Yeah, hopefully your car gets started,
Yeah,
man. And I just want to it's not just Tony's show. It's not just the Mike show. It's just not the Jade's show. It's all of us. It's ARMBAR. That's why we're ARMBAR United. And I just want to let you know that it's not all about us. So it's all about you guys. If it weren't for you guys, this wouldn't be ARMBAR. So I just want to thank you guys once again. And I'll see you guys at San Antonio at the Royal Rumble. If you guys seem to watch our show, bump into me, give us a heads up, give us a thumbs up, and, yell at us. Say, Tony, ARMBAR, Jay, ARMBAR. Get us noticed. Even Mike the Biz here, you guys see him at Hidalgo at the State Farm Arena, and you say, hey, I watch your show. Be an honor if you sign something, Hey, if you want to mark out on this guy too.
I don't know if I'm that famous.
And by the way, also, I just want to let you know that if you guys need electricity, you want a good rate, you want a good deal, you want to get with Mike the Biz here at Ambit. I've been with Ambit for about 6 years, 5-6 years, and I just want to let you know that Ambit's been good to me. They're very good. If you have a power outage or something happens, they are linked with AEP. So get a hold of Mike. He can get you a better rate, and they're very good with customer service, okay? Even though there's a lot of competitors with different rates, Ambit's a very legitimate company. They've been very successful the past 11 years.
2006 there.
Yes, and if you guys have a desire into selling electricity, like I said, get with Mike the Biz Boss to do it here. So get with him.
The Biz.
Exactly.
Thank you guys. I appreciate
Yeah.
And same thing, if you guys want to have the best, shopping experience for groceries, or if you want to try out new foods, you got the Cooking Connection guy, Tony. You got one of the best managers, Mike. HEB is the elite grocery store to shop at. And if you go to HEB and you see Tony in the Cooking Connection kitchen, you see Mike in the manager's area, holding the fork down and showing everyone why he's the biz. Hey, give him some love,
Yeah, please. I'm here every day. I live at the store.
That's what
and
I'm saying.
unfortunately, I'll be gone for 5 days. So
yeah, he needs the time off anyway.
I'm going to be, with the exception of Tuesday and Thursday over at Freedom, I'm pretty much going to be on vacation for a good several days.
Both
coming up.
Yes. You guys I'll have Sunday and Monday off, so 2 days off in a row for me. Great. So let's close it out, guys. Thank you all for the warm the plugs. I appreciate that, Tony especially. So let's get it going. Okay, so then I'll start off. Let's not get lost, right?
Yes, you start. Yeah.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
I'll see you guys in San Antonio at the Royal Rumble, and you can see also these guys too.
I'll be in San Antonio.
San Antonio. You see us at San Antonio, and you get to see these guys here in Hidalgo, Texas. Once again, thank you for watching ARMBAR. You all have a great night. If you're not down with ARMBAR, we got 2 words for you.
Texas barbecue.
And if you don't like Texas barbecue, then you know what? You just made the list. Okay? I can't do it. Delete it. All right. See you guys later. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
All right.
For your phone.